Well, good evening. I'm Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy+wisdom. I am a hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, timeline coach, and a published author. Tonight, I want to talk about divine athleticism. It's inside me. I am free, feeling rich every day, expanding through life. But how does that feel when you say divine athleticism? It makes you feel alive with a thriving, triumphant tenacity within yourself. And that's what this is all about, is getting the thriving inside, thriving and alive inside. But we go through life trying to live in the physical world rather than in the mundane world. So as we open up to this and we get out of the head into the core corridors of your authentic ardor, you soar. And that is what this is about. It's really about opening up to this rather than dissing yourself and staying away from yourself. And that's what we do in this world. We stay away from ourselves because it's easier. It's easier to be controlled by the mundane world than it is to expand of divine right, unleashing my light of life, living internally free every day. That is a big thing, living internally free every day. But how many of us are stuck in yesterday and try to get ahead by doing other things, but we never get out of our own way? I know I'm guilty of that. I'm still in my own way, but I'm more open to the inside, in the intrepid, savvy maturity within myself. But it's the spirit of us that's equal. Not necessarily the brain power, not necessarily everything, the physical attributes, but the spirit in everybody is equal. But it's how do we trust the spirit within ourselves to sense power internally, realizing intrepid tenacity to move forward. We all have the power to imagine everything, but do we have the willpower to feisure our thinking mind away from ourselves? So as we move forward and we allow life to come forthright, we expand of our divine grandeur, never being stuck in yesterday. But how does divine athleticism energize you inside to quit hiding from yourself? How do we hide from our spirit and all of our other stuff in life? Because it's more empowering to unleash and unlock everything inside yourself, but it's really negating everything when you try to stay inside society's ways. So as you open up to society, open up and let go of society, you stop sabotaging yourself and myself. But it's really about allowing the light of life brighten our paths to experience life in a liberating internal fervor energy, naturally dancing through life. So as life expands, and so by unlocking and unleashing the divine athleticism within ourselves, we allow ourselves to be beyond our thinking mind. So how is our thinking mind blocking our way in life? How do we overthink the simple things of life? Because we taught ourselves to overthink life and get into the drama and the trauma and all the stuff that makes us. How is the world comfortable in drama and trauma? That is something I'm really opening up. And how am I comfortable in trauma and trauma? And that is something that opens new revelations within me to see the world expand of light rather than dark. How do we see the clouds on a rainy day and not the greenery the rain makes? It energizes on the earth when the sun shines. How does it take the rain to energize the greenery we see? How is the rain the energy of life? It's like a mountain. Where is life begin? Life begins in the bottoms of the oceans and the top of the mountains. And we are living everything in between. And that is something that is new to us, and we are afraid to admit the mountains and the oceans are our survival. It takes the mountains to feed the oceans and the oceans to feed the world, and the mountains feed the world. But how do we stay in the cityfied way of life, thinking everything comes from a supermarket and not from the fields of the earth? But life is actually expanded and liberated in the earth, and that's an enterprising audacity, realizing today's hellacious bliss because we boldly live internally, sensing, stout-hearted, savvy to move our life forward. But how we want to talk about the spirit, we want to talk about this, but when it comes down to trusting it, how do we shy away? And how is it easier to talk about than experience? How many people experience it but just talk about, never experience it but talk about it? I'm opening up to realize it's easy to talk about being spiritual, but when you're spiritual, you have to decline the sabotage within and start thinking yourself as smarter and better than somebody else. And that is a big one for us humanoids, because we like the annoyances of life. We never want to admit that. Well, we're being taught to be humans to keep us stuck in the brain and the mind, rather than unbind the mind and live in the divine athleticism within ourselves. And that athleticism is an audacious, trend-setting hellraiser, living every day, tantalizing, intuitive celebrations, intuitively sensing maturity. See, we think in grown-up, but we never feel the maturity that's within us. We always stay away from it because it's new to us. How is trusting the unknown and the unseen, the divine athleticism of the universe, showing us how to be the player of our life, our game of life? How do we sit on the bench a stench rather than being on the field of far-seeing, internal, enterprising lure, of enterprising luxury, dancing to our dreams, with our dreams, rather than being stuck in trying to figure the dream out? How do we stay stuck in trying to figure life out rather than just experience it and open the door of wisdom that's there? But I understand me, and I know I still try to know my way through life, and I'll never know it, but I can wisely experience it, listening to the events that are going on. And that is something that I'm really opening up myself to, but it's a path. And it's got fallen timber, rocks, canyons, every blockage you can think of, but here's the thing, I can think of blockages, but I feel the expansion of me when I walk through life, because it's enterprising Xanadu's propelling, adventurous, new, internal optimism, naturally invigorating spiritual maturity within me. But it's our spiritual maturity is what we're here for, to experience on life. But we stay stuck in the muck of life because it's easy. It's easy to cry and bitch about everything. I was good at it, still am. But it's something I'm really expanding of and expanding out of. As I walk forward in life, I liberate internal far-seeing, enterprising energies that allow me to be free, because I walk in wisdom. A walk of wisdom, stroll of stout-hearted, enterprising energy, allowing my life to play out in front of me. Because when I allow life to play out, I release the doubt. I open up the doors of daring, optimistic, omnificence, realizing life is where I dance. It's in my daily life as I dance my daredevilry and appreciate new celebrations every day. How are we afraid to celebrate the spiritual splendor of all of ourselves? Because our heart smiles, our soul grins, but we're in the chagrin because it's new to us and it's not in the thinking mind. How's the thinking mind an overbearing bunch of BS? I know mine is. My thinking gets me in more trouble than anything, but my inspirational aspirations enlighten me to listen to life. And something I'm really expanding into, it's harder to criticize life than to play in the field of fervency that really allows me to be free. And fervency is a spiritual, far-seeing energy, but it's the spirit, it's the wraith of us all. A wraith is a spirit, is a visible spirit. And when you can open up to letting go of being a human and open up to realize we're visible spirits, we vibrantly invigorate sassy, internal, bold, lively events. Because it's all about experience in life. And other people will show you the way you don't want to go, and the way you lack them, the way you never want to visit, and ways you want to visit. It doesn't mean you have to go in there. It's a way to witness the wealth inside yourself, or myself, to expand through life. Because all the wealth in the world is in us. You know, the material chattels come from inner intuition and brain power prowess to wow ourselves out of life. But it's about stopping and stop believing in beliefs, viewpoints, and opinions, and open up to allowing the inner innocence to listen and hear the events and witness it with an unattached, panache to witness life expand in front of you. How are we trying to witness it? I always live something, but we're never willing to experience it. But it's a divine absolute. It's a divine athleticism within us that actuates trend-setting harmonies, expanding today's internal celebrations. Invigorated candor inside me sets me free to decree daredevilry dances. Enterprising credence, realizing everyday life expands and energizes me, and to never ever be caught up in the human annoyances I think about. We think in human annoyances, so I really do. But when I open up to realize them human annoyances are all from my mind and ingrained pain and ish. But when I get into the inspirational expressions, I energize X, participating in real rich enterprising splendor. But it's a splendor of life is that afraids us, because we've never been taught to experience the splendor. We've always been taught to be in the knot of life, because there's never enough, and it's going to take money, and it's going to take this. Actually, it takes wisdom and innovation and talent to generate wealth. And then when you can open up and generate the wealth, it becomes illuminated elegance from within you, or me. But we are so stuck in trying to be human and always looking at what we do wrong, and we're always looking at this, but we never make a mistake. We only make mistakes, because everything that's unsavory and we think is unsavory or unsatisfying to the human mind is actually fissuring the stranglehold the human mind has on us and the memories of life. It's really about allowing ourselves to plow the fields within us and turn the weeds under into compost, opening up the inner host to harmonize opulence, sensing today's trend-setting epiphanies. We are the wizards of life. We're afraid to be the wizard because our divine athleticism is ready to play, but we're stuck on the bench because it isn't taught to us, and it isn't in a book, it isn't in a computer. It's in the feelings and emotions and all the stuff that's in here. The stuff inside will dissipate the bluffs of life. To boldly look ubiquitously feeling free, because we bluff ourselves and stuff ourselves in a box. Nobody else can do it. We do it. We're afraid of what other people are going to say and how they're going to think about us. And that is something the spirit never ever cares about. Only thing that cares about is what we taught ourselves. And when we teach ourselves to be the bitchers of life, we get the bitch of life. But when we teach ourselves to inspire, and when we open our eyes and heart and soul and speak omnific utopian lore, we so show ourselves our self-assured affluence, walking the adventurous path of bountiful bliss that kisses our lives every day. But it's being willing to be kissed by bliss rather than be bluffed by BS. So which is it you want to do? See, life isn't a choice. Life is a willingness to experience. And that is where I'm opening myself to. What am I willing to experience in a highfalutin way? Because I might as well, if I'm going to be unsavory and if I'm going to be unsettled and insecure, I might as well make it big. So the easy part of life is being insecure and unsettled about life, because life is going to challenge me. And the more bolder I am, the bigger the challenge that celebrates harmonious events, loving life, expanding new gumption, energizing my path, energizing my light of life, illuminating my path of prosperity and peace. But how are we afraid of peace? Because we don't understand peace. We understand pillage and plunder and everything that's physically violent. But how is the peaceful warrior within you the winner appreciation, realizing rich in inner optimism, revealing the real self-assured savant that's within ourselves? How is confidence actually unsettling and being insecure the settling part of life? How do we settle in insecurity without even admitting it to ourselves? That's kind of an interesting question, isn't it? So as I walk of life, I feel the far-seeing energy expand, lionize, wise within myself. See, wise people expand the world. Know-it-alls stop the world. And if you look at the world, how's our politicians stuck in the know-it-all life? And the people that expand the life are the spiritual savants, propelling internal riches, invigorating today's harmonious and tranquil lifestyles. How is money, the thoughts of money, creating that discontent about money? Everybody does everything for money. Who is the most successful people in the world if you really look around? Mother Teresa, she had more than she wanted because she gave, but she also received things to give to others. And that's the thing. It's okay to receive, to give. But our divine athleticism is a daredevilry, internally vibrant, instigating new, enterprising dreams within myself. It's the dreamer within me, is the romanticist that opens up life's instant savvy tenacity to walk the rivers of riches and sail the oceans of opulence. But we get the surfer sees of success because we are blessed with a bright light, eternally sensing success and internally, naturally galvanizing the outcome with gusto. It's about the gusto within us that galvanizes unfathomable splendor today, opening my eyes to the bliss of life. And with that, I'm going to say good night. I am Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom. My website is mycowboywisdom.com. My books are available at amazon.com/author/Robert A. Wilson and at howdiditeachmyselffear.com. And may your week be blessed with lavish abundances now and forevermore. Thank you and good night.